Welcome to G Fun Facts Online, where we dive into the most amazing wonders of science and the universe. Today, we're blasting off on a journey not just into outer space, but deep inside the human body to explore a fascinating mystery. How does space travel literally reprogram our astronauts? Imagine for a moment you're floating in zero gravity, Earth a beautiful blue marble below. It's an incredible experience, but it's also incredibly demanding on your body. We know about muscle loss and bone density issues, but scientists are discovering something even more profound, changes happening at the very control panel of our cells, the epigenome. So what on Earth, or rather, off Earth, is epigenetics? Think of your DNA as a massive instruction manual, the complete blueprint for you. Epigenetics doesn't change the writing in that manual. Instead, it's like sticky notes, highlights, or little switches that tell your cells which instructions to read, when to read them, and how loudly. These epigenetic markers can turn genes on or off in response to the world around you, or in this case, the extreme environment of space. And the cool part? Unlike genetic mutations, these changes can often be reversed. Space is a wild ride for the human body. Astronauts face cosmic radiation, microgravity, weird sleep patterns, and unique diets. Each of these can potentially leave an epigenetic fingerprint. So how do scientists know this? Let's talk about some key ways space messes with these genetic switches. First, there's DNA methylation. This is like adding a tiny chemical cap to a gene, often silencing it. The famous NASA twin study gave us incredible insight here. Astronaut Scott Kelly spent a year in space while his identical twin, Mark, stayed on Earth. Scott showed changes in his DNA methylation in flight. While many of these changes flipped back after he returned, some persisted, pointing to genes particularly sensitive to the space environment. Even simulated long space trips, like the Mars 500 mission, showed these methylation tweaks. Then there are histone modifications. Histones are proteins that DNA wraps around, like thread on a spool. Modifying these spools can make the DNA easier or harder to read. Studies on tiny worms called C. elegans in space showed that microgravity can affect these histone modifications, especially in genes related to muscles and metabolism. Even mice showed changes in specific histone tags in their immune cells when exposed to hypergravity, like during launch and landing. And it doesn't stop there. There are also non-coding RNAs, bits of RNA that don't make proteins but act like crucial gene regulators. Spaceflight alters these too. Scientists have found changes in astronauts' blood even after short missions, suggesting these could be biomarkers for space-induced stress. The NASA twin study was a goldmine. Scott Kelly experienced thousands of gene expression changes, especially in the second half of his year-long mission. The good news? Over 90% of these returned to normal within 6 months back on Earth. Interestingly, while both twins had epigenetic changes, the collocations of these changes were different, with Scott's affecting genes involved in immune responses. This leads us to other amazing discoveries. Astronauts' immune systems are definitely affected. Scott Kelly's immune system reacted fine to a flu vaccine in space, but some immune-related genes showed persistent changes post-flight. Space radiation is a big concern for DNA damage, and guess what? Epigenetic mechanisms are involved in repairing that damage. Here's a real head-scratcher. Telomeres. These are the protective caps at the ends of our chromosomes, usually linked to aging. Scott Kelly's telomeres actually got longer in space. This has been seen in other astronauts too, though they usually shorten again after returning to Earth. Scientists are still figuring out why. Maybe it's the controlled diet and exercise? And of course, space impacts bones, muscles, and even cardiovascular health, like a thickening of Scott Kelly's carotid artery wall. Some research even hints that space travel might tweak our epigenetic clock, a way to measure biological aging. The European Space Agency is specifically looking into how space radiation affects this clock. To really understand these mechanisms, scientists also send model organisms into space. Those C. elegans worms we mentioned, they showed epigenetic changes in microgravity that could even be passed down to their offspring. Mice flown to the International Space Station showed skin changes, with gene activity revving up blood vessel formation, likely an epigenetic adaptation. Even plants like Arabidopsis thaliana, grown on the ISS, showed widespread DNA methylation changes. Life, it seems, finds a way to adapt epigenetically. Now, studying space epigenetics isn't easy. There are few astronauts, so sample sizes are small. It's hard to tease apart the effects of microgravity versus radiation versus confinement, and getting samples back from space safely is a challenge, though new tech like the Minion DNA sequencer on the ISS is helping with real-time analysis. But the future is incredibly exciting. Scientists hope to find reliable epigenetic biomarkers to monitor astronaut health in real time. This could lead to targeted countermeasures. Think special diets or even medicines to help astronauts stay healthy on long voyages to the Moon and Mars. And guess what? What we learn up there can help us right here on Earth, improving treatments for age-related diseases, immune disorders, and problems linked to long periods of inactivity. So the journey into space is also a journey into ourselves, revealing just how adaptable we are, right down to our molecular core. Epigenetics is showing us how our very DNA dances with the environments we dare to explore. While space clearly flips some epigenetic switches, many of them flip back. It's a testament to our resilience. Thanks for tuning into G Fun Facts Online. Join us next time for more mind-bending science. Stay curious.